Today we're going to take an in-depth look at the Combat Medic class. I had my doubts about how the Combat Medic class would perform, but I can thankfully say that after fully leveling this class, it is a great option and it has a lot of really good skills for yourself and for allies around you. Let's get started. Every class has 5 active abilities and 9 passive abilities. The active abilities can be seen here highlighted in red and the passive highlighted in blue. Your active abilities run on a cooldown and are manually activated, whereas passives automatically activate. Certain passives also run on a cooldown. Every character starts with one main active. This ability is given by default, but you can upgrade it as you gain class points. In this case, we have the Healing Bot. This bot can be deployed to help heal yourself and allies around you. Upgrading will increase the duration of the bot being active. This ability is especially useful for later game enemies when you need to have some sort of health sustain, and it's also really nice to throw it down during co-op events, such as Arc Falls. You can upgrade this ability 3 times as seen by the number indicator at the bottom of the skill. Next up, we have your first 3 passives. Each row of passives has a tier cap as seen here. This means that you can only use 5 points amongst all 3 skills, so use your points wisely. The first passive will reduce the cooldown of your self-revive as your healing bot heals allies. Upgrading it will reduce that self-revive cooldown even further. This is a good passive to get if you're playing with friends or doing a ton of co-op action. If you're just playing solo and playing mainly through the story, it won't help you too much. The second passive makes you and a player just revived take decreased damage from enemies for 10 seconds. Upgrading it will increase the decreased damage you receive. This skill is even less useful than the first passive because you're usually clearing out the area to revive someone anyway. I guess it wouldn't hurt to put 1 point into it, but because I've been playing mainly solo with not many people around me, I just avoided it altogether. The third passive gives you and allies increased reload speed upon killing an enemy. Upgrading increases the reload speed. The ability has a set cooldown of 30 seconds, so that is something to keep in mind when going for this one. This is my favorite of these 3 passives because the medic excels in LMGs and LMGs have a very long reload time. This ability helps out a ton when you're in a pickle and need your ammo quickly. It also gives allies the buff, so you can't go wrong with that. Up next is your first 2 active skills that you have to choose from. You can only have one of these skills, so choose carefully. First up is Inspire. This ability will increase damage done by you and allies around you for 10 seconds. This ability has a set cooldown of 45 seconds, and upgrading it will increase the damage dealt. The second active you can choose is Protection Spike. This is a spike that you put into the ground that decreases damage to all players within its radius for 15 seconds. This ability has a set cooldown of 50 seconds, and upgrading it will increase the amount of decreased damage. Both of these abilities are extremely useful and viable. Much like your first active, these abilities can be upgraded 3 times. Now we move on to the next 6 passives. First up, we have a skill that will increase accuracy with LMGs. Upgrading the skill will further increase accuracy. I like this passive a lot because I've been using LMGs as the main weapon of my medic because the medic has a lot of nice LMG advantages. The next passive adds more critical damage with pistols. As you upgrade this skill, you receive more critical damage. I'm not a big fan of pistols, so I avoided this skill. I might dabble into it later on. The third passive of this first row is my favorite of these 3. When your bot heals you or an ally, it will replenish a certain percentage of reserve ammo. Upgrading the skill will increase the percentage of ammo replenished. I love using this skill in Arc Falls just because when you're facing the boss, you're usually stationary, which means you're not picking up any ammo from enemies. With the skill, you can just turn into a stationary turret with infinite ammo, as long as you're taking damage from something every so often. On to the next row of passives, we start with my favorite passive skill of this whole class. This skill gives anyone who is being healed by your bot an increase in fire rate. As you upgrade this skill, the fire rate increases. The increase in fire rate is very noticeable as you upgrade, and I would recommend at least 1 point in this skill in every build. The second passive allows you to revive someone and then instantly revive people around the person you just revive. Upgrading this skill will increase the range of the insta-revive. I like this skill, and I do hope people begin to become aware of this skill and group up on each other when they go down so that a medic can insta-revive them. If that becomes a norm, then you'll really only ever need 1 point invested into this skill. Finally, the last passive gives you and your allies a boost in movement speed on a kill. There is a set cooldown of 20 seconds, and upgrading will increase the movement speed. I put 1 point into this, and it isn't very noticeable, so I'd say go with at least 2 or 3 points into this skill if you really want that speed boost. Now we get to the final 2 actives that you must choose between. These skills are different because you can actually invest 4 upgrade points into them rather than the 3 as seen in the other actives. The first active is the Revive Spike. When you throw the spike down, players can revive themselves as long as they are within the radius of the spike. The cooldown is set at 180 seconds, and upgrading will increase the duration of the spike deployment. This active is insanely good, and choosing between this and the second active was extremely difficult. The second active is called Ego Refresh. This will let you reduce the cooldown of all active abilities for yourself and allies around you. The cooldown is set at 120 seconds, and there is an extra stipulation that one person may not have this activated on them more than once in an 80-second time frame. Upgrading this ability will increase the percentage of cooldown on your actives. This active partners very well with the healing bot and makes healing bot builds extremely good. In conclusion, the medic class is an awesome class with really versatile build options. You could build yourself to buff your teammates like crazy, or just make a selfish build to mow everything down solo. I really love that about this class, and I hope the other classes have that same aspect. I'll make sure to get in-depth overviews of every other class as soon as I complete each of them. Do expect some builds of the medic class to come up soon as I experiment more with it. If you found this video helpful, make sure to like the video and subscribe for a new Defiance 2050 video every day. I thank you so much for watching, and I will see you tomorrow in the next Defiance video.